This is my path, my journey. I'm willing to explain it all to you guys. No holding back anything. I just hope you're ready for the experience, and I just hope you can handle it.
Disclaimer. This video was intended for an adult audience only. Viewer discretion is advised. Anything you see in this video, do not attempt to recreate. This video was created for documentation purposes only. Our purpose is education. We are not justifying or glamorizing using substances. What we are doing is educating people on the substances that we have used and what it has done for us. Do not recreate or do not redo the substances we have done just because we talk about it.
I want to talk about a Lotus experience I had last night. So in this Lotus experience, I have no clue how much I took of it. All I know is it was a lot. I actually still have some in my jar over there because what I did is I had this Lotus, and let me clarify. This is a Space Lotus experience. For those that don't know what Space Lotus is, Space Lotus is, they took a, what is it called? No, hold on. They took a Nelumbo nuciferia seed up into space. It ended up mutating from the sun, the radiation, and they took it down and it grew, and it basically grew a different plant and a different type of lotus plant that is genetically altered. Now, there was analysis done on this exact extract that I have, and the analysis basically was, so for the longest they were thinking that there was no natural source of aporphine or of apomorphine. So aporphine and apomorphine are two completely different things. So apomorphine is said to only be, it was thought to only be synthetic for the longest time. But then when they grew this plant, and then they did research on the extract, okay? They did, scientific analysis and tested to see what was in the extract. Now, I'm pretty sure they were only looking for a few things. They probably couldn't, there's probably more than just these things in there, but these were the main things in this extract. In the Blue Lotus extract, there was mainly nuciferian. But in the Space Lotus extract, there was nuciferian and also a lot of apomorphine. So people get apomorphine confused because it has the term morphine in it, and people think that it's an opioid, and it's not an opioid. It's just, for the longest time, how they made it synthetically is they took morphine and then they removed some things, tweaked some things, added some things, and then created a brand new molecule that was not an opioid. It was an aporphine molecule, and it was apomorphine. But it's a dopamine agonist, and it's actually used as, I think, a medication for Parkinson's, right? Now, the side effects of it are interesting because the side effects of it, a few of the side effects were like this is of apomorphine. The side effects of apomorphine were like loss of consciousness, can be a side effect. Another side effect was hallucinations, and things like that. So that interests me a lot. So I wanted to dive deep with the Space Lotus, so I did last night. And as I was diving deep, this extract that I have, Space Lotus extract, it has 50% vegetable glycerin and 50% of the Space Lotus extract. So I dropped, I think, 60 drops, 60 or 70 drops into my cup. On top of, put a gram of this extract in there. I don't know. This is just pure Space Lotus extract with no vegetable glycerin. So I put that in there as well in my cup, mixed it with some soda, with some Pepsi, and I started sipping it. And I had this idea because I wanted to put a lot in there, and enough where I knew it would work, and I knew I probably wouldn't even need to drink at all. And I wanted to try something different, and I wanted to see if I could, just make it work better. So, as I was doing research, apomorphine does not work that long at all. I mean, it only works about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then the effects are gone. So, I wanted to slowly sip it. So I put it in a mason jar, filled up the mason jar all the way, and started slowly sipping it. I actually could show you. This was it. Okay. You can actually see it's kind of thick. I think it's because the vegetable glycerin made it thick, and there's a lot of extract in here. But I may even and then I put another 20 drops in another cup and just chugged that down. I just wanted to make sure that it worked, and it worked. So I was slowly sipping it. This is all the way full to the top, to the brim. So I sipped from here to here, probably, and then 15 minutes later, sipped from there to there. 30 minutes later, sipped from there to there. 10, 20 minutes later, sipped from there to there, and to where it's at. And it's just, as time goes on, I started feeling the Lotus feeling, observing reality and how reality looked different, but yet the same. How it's like you're looking at something and you're looking at it and it looks like you're looking at it for the first time. This is what happens to me, like almost like a dissociative thing where it's like you're looking at the room, like, because I was sitting right here, so I was looking at the room around me, and I was just looking how it's like I'm looking at the room, but it's like I'm in the room, but it's like I wasn't in the room, because it was like I was an observer of the room. It just has this weird perspective, right? It changes your perspective on the world around you, and also your perspective on the way you think about yourself in your mind. But so then I started noticing, as I started sipping it more and more, I started noticing my vision started to change a little bit. I started to get a little, I don't want to say paranoid, but a little out of my mind a little bit. I could definitely tell that I was on something. It was late at night, whatever. I kept thinking I was seeing something out of the corner of my eye, but I couldn't tell what, I don't know, kind of like, if something moves in the corner of your eye. And then I would notice that it was just, so because it was dark and there was shadow, there's a shadow right there, you can see my shadow. It was just interesting. There's also a computer right here that's not on, so I can just see my reflection. So it's like, it's just interesting that one little thing would happen where it's like the wind would make something move over there, and I would see the slightest movement so crisp, right? Like, it was interesting. Then I started noticing that this is what really, I started being really hard, not necessarily hard to stay conscious, but I started to like do this type of shit. And like, I was awake, but then I'd be like, and like wake up and, but yeah, I didn't really notice I was doing it. Besides that, I just noticed I was doing this, right? And I mean, there was a time, so then I realized, okay, maybe I should meditate. So then I put I have this chair, but I'm also on like this shag carpet. So like I just sat down, laid on the shag carpet, put my head on the chair for a second, and started meditating, and had this, it was the first time I've had a visual from Lotus in a long time. I had a visual from Red Lotus a long time ago, like 2-3 years ago. But I sat there and I laid there, and it was the Fibonacci sequence. It was a spiral, but it's not like it slowly formed. It completely just was boom, but it was like dotted, like I don't know. I wish I had a pen. If I had a pen, I'd show you guys. But like, it was like, instead of being a complete circle, let's say it was line. Let's say it was a line, because it looked like light but lines. But it looked like a dotted line. You know how like in the road you'll have like, instead of the straight line that divides the two, you'll have the dotted line so you can cross over into the different lanes. It was kind of like that, and dotted lines that were like kind of made the spiral. But then I'd open my eyes, and that was just in my vision in general. It was on the wall. I would look at the wall, and it was on the wall, and it wasn't like very vivid. But if I turned the lights out, I'm pretty sure it would have been pretty damn vivid. Because it was decently vivid with my eyes closed. It wasn't like rainbow colored or anything. It was almost like white, yellowish light. It's like kind of yellowish but white, like, I don't know. But it was just interesting to me, because as this was happening, I was kind of freaking out for a second, but then I just told myself, no, just let go. Stop fighting it. Let go. Then it's like, let go. I started getting like more there with it. Like, instead of me seeing something, it became me being able to, I was starting to, I feel like, separate a little bit from my body. Like, this is when I was just laying down, you know, I'm sitting on the shag carpet, but had my head on, you know, the seat of this pillow, of this chair, and there's a pillow here. And I just had my, you know, I was just laying there, slowly starting to kind of like dissociate away from my body. But yet, I guess in reality, probably starting to lose consciousness a little bit. But yet, I was feeling like as I was starting to separate a little bit from my body, I was more, how do you explain it? More like, these things are so hard to explain. I was more like, separating from the body. But as I was separating, I was more going into the thing in my head that I was seeing. It started becoming more of something I was in instead of something I was seeing. Then I don't know, maybe it was because I was drinking it with Pepsi, and I had a lot of caffeine in me, so I don't know, I started like trying to wake up, or, you know, trying to get up or something, I don't know. So then I got up, sat here, and just like this, and just sat here like this, leaning like this, just dozing off for like, I don't know, for what honestly for me felt like hours. It felt like a long time, but yet the whole experience itself only lasted 2 hours. 2 hours. That's it. And if I would have kept sipping this, I probably could have got another hour, hour and a half in you know, into it, but by the time it was done and over with, I almost wanted it to be done and over with. I was almost like, geez, I didn't know how long I was out, like, out for. It was beautiful though, right? Because I mean, I didn't talk much about the euphoria feeling, but there is like this euphoric feeling, this beautiful, it's hard to explain, but it's just an amazing feeling. But it's not even just the feeling. It's what I love about it is the philosophical mind state that you get into. It's like your mind becomes more philosophical. And if you're not the type of person to have deep philosophical thinking, Lotus would force philosophical thinking on someone. Like, it almost forces them to think philosophically and analyze things and think deeply. And, you know, I was just sitting there thinking deep about life, about reality. And, yeah. And so I drank it I started drinking it at midnight. By, like, 1, I stopped drinking it, maybe a little before 1, and maybe a little after 1. Who knows? Like, this is what I mean. Time was like completely whatever, because it's so mind blowing that it was only like 2 hours that the whole thing experience was, but yet it felt like forever. Yet I had all these realizations and like these visions, and there was slight visuals, and I would think I'd see things out the corner of my eye, or I would see like little light things, kind of reminded me of fireflies, but like so much smaller, that would sometimes trickle down. I don't know. But then, this was just like when I was like laying down, and I was like dozing. You could say I was like dozing in and out of consciousness. But yeah, and you know what was awesome though? What was awesome about all this is not once did I fear or feel like I was in any sort of danger whatsoever. I feel like I could ingest this whole fucking extract bottle. I could ingest all of this, and yeah, it might knock me out or whatever, but I feel like I'd be completely safe. And that's what I like about the plants and extracts and molecules and psychedelics and substances that I use personally. Is I know the safety measures, I know the dosage that I take is safe, and I know that I wouldn't take a dose that isn't safe because I'd be worried in my head the whole time, and I wouldn't actually be able to have the experience. Because I've been there many times where I take a psychedelic and you think you're dying, and oh my god, I really did it this time. I killed myself. Holy shit. But I'm here to tell the tale still. It's because I feel like it's education which allows me to be able to dive deep with these things, and because I feel like a lot of people can't get the lotus flower to work for them, but it's probably because they're scared to dive deep with it because they just don't know. But this is why I just make sure do a lot of research on these things. I also make sure for example, I broke out in this video the differences between the lotus that they've researched, these different extracts, and how in the space lotus extract, there's apomorphine, and how it is the very first plant thing they found of apomorphine, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, it was a beautiful experience, unexpected, because I forgot that lotus can be visual. I just expected, last time I had a visual experience from Lotus, it was all closed eye. There was no open eye visuals with it. But at the same time, I meditated for a longer experience that time, and I didn't really experience the open eye visuals that much. There's always been, with every lotus flower, blue, white, red, Nymphia, Caerulea, or the Nelumbo family, regardless, right? They all have this dissociative perspective on the world around you, how you look at the reality around you, and how it's like you're looking at something for the first time, or you're in a room and you're in the room, but yet the room seems new to you or different, or you're picking out things that you didn't notice that were there, or you just have this different perspective on yourself and reality. And you can also, with the lotus, you have this has this effect that psychedelics do, which is you can kind of see the bullshit in the world and be like, well, this is all bullshit, life is meaningless, or life means it all, but yet they have us brainwashed, or yet this is bullshit, or I'm living a life that I didn't really want to live, or I'm living life my mom made me live, or I'm living the life, whatever. It makes you look at yourself from a different perspective and look at reality from a different perspective. But yeah, that was my experience last night. I'm probably going to go in tonight again. I don't know if I'll go in with the Lotus. I have this wild lemon balm that I haven't done because I don't really have many experiences with lemon balm. But I have that I wanted to experience. I'll probably do that next week. Yeah. I don't know. Yep, but I'll save that for another video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I guess this was a trip report. Yeah. Thank you guys. Much love.